Hey everyone, welcome to the LIBERcast Ep.104. Thank you for joining us on live. Welcome for the people who are gonna get this later. Welcome to the LIBERcast, and thank you. You are the pillars of this LIBERcast. This podcast, it's a form of expression. It's a force of it's a share of consciousness. It's an embrace for humanity that I there's so much work to do, and we need all of you people, the people who are conscious, the people who are living on all stratas of life. We need all of you to join us and share this important information about consciousness, about humanity, psychology, and even the darker sides of this world that we're living in, and being aware of these things. And this is what I pretend to do with the LIBERcast. And I wish it would grow bigger, in the sense that not the podcast but humanity's consciousness. And I would like to go it like very fast, but it's not the way it works. The work is hard, and we need to push the truth and this moral compass that is natural laws, and really understand the rhetorics behind it and the doctrine, because I think it's an important way to align your life with truth about yourself, truth about the world around you. They cannot be separated. So before we start, I'm gonna put up the One Great Work Network, like usual, and an incredible aggregate of searchers, news, occult, psychology, morality, all these beautiful things that can be discovered, and there's a bunch of them that are incredible. Their work is invaluable, and I encourage you to go see them and discover this incredible world. This I mean, for me, it changed everything. So if it did for me, it's gonna be probably do it for you. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing, all the information that we have there, all these people. So go there. It's the One Great Work Network.com. So I'm gonna bring on Konrad. Hey, brother.
Hello. Hello. Happy to
Welcome.
be here.
Welcome to the LIBERcast, man.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited.
So for the people who don't know you, can you quickly give us a bio about where you were, where you are now, and all your work, so people can get it?
Sure. So, um, I'm a Polish guy working construction, living in Chicago. Is the beginning. I'm an immigrant. I came here. I've seen the two worlds. I've seen Europe over there. I've seen how things are over here, and I've just been exploring. And around 2020, the world kind of got turned upside down. Now, that was not my first time awakening to the deeper aspects of things, but that's really what got me off of this couch and up into the arena. So I struggled with addiction. I liked to live the street life. I was selling drugs for a while, basically doing all these things. My spirit was lost. I always saw myself as a warrior that was born in the wrong time, but I realized that I was not born in the wrong time, because the war truly is here. So I came online. I started putting content out here about everything I know, researching relentlessly. Brought in onto the One Great Work Network, and uh, so I'm with the big boys now. I'm here with you on the LIBERcast, and my website is truthandlaw.com. My videos are on YouTube until they take me down. I talk about really the occult, but I focus on psychology and philosophy. So I'm really happy to be on this show because it's this kind of area that I'm interested in. Uh,
Hmm.
and I do every show every week. It's called This Week in Tyranny. I've been doing that, and really, what my focus, what I want to talk about the most is the warrior path. And I've been doing that as well. It's really just my take on the heroic vision of how to live. It's about shadow work. It's about confronting reality. It's about applying ourselves to be real men to bring the change into this world and not just be changed by the world. So that's a sort of quick one where I'm coming from.
So before I let you the torch, Conrad, for your presentation, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna put that up. So this is Conrad website, if I understood right.
Yes.
So it's truthandlaw.com. Go there, encourage Conrad. There's it's a beautiful site with all his videos and things. So go there, truthandlaw.com. Here we go. Shameless plug. No
Yes, that's where the
problem.
fun is at.
So
Thank you.
if you want to put your slide up, so I can give you a torch. So during that, I want to thank everyone um, for your hard work. I know there's people outside who are working hard to help the people and in the street and the poor people and bringing them food. And I want to thank you to all these people. I have them on the group. These selfless people who are giving their precious time and resources to help their brothers and sisters. So thank you so much for that in this time of deceptions. I think it's a beautiful light that you shed upon these people. So thank you. So here we go. I'm gonna. So if you want to put yourself in full screen, I'm gonna get out of the screen myself.
Oh yeah, I'm here ready to go. Sharing the screen should be you should be seeing it. Hello? You there? One second. No, I seem to not hear you. I don't want to just rush into it without having you on board. Now we can't. We gotta have the
Yeah,
host with
sorry
us.
about that.
Okay.
So yeah, this question of human nature is very interesting. We hear a lot of different uh, rhetorics and theory about human nature. It's very interesting. I covered out on that on the podcast before.
It's a deep topic, right? And it's interesting. You just talked about the people, the deceptions, and the people who are selfless, right? Who are helping others. And one of the main deceptions is about the self. So there's a way, you use the word selfless in a way that, helping others, not taking from others, but helping them. But they also, there's this deception about selflessness, and this, it is losing the self. It is not really having a strong sense of self. And this is exactly why I wanted to go through this presentation, because this is the main deception. This is deception numero uno. The way I see it is that we've really lost our sense of self, and we don't know what human nature is. So, uh, y- you know, um, even us, we can get lost in this. Yeah, we want to help others, but then we also have to help ourselves, right? So
Mhm.
this we get the word selfish and selfless thrown at us from different directions, and if we don't have a strong sense of self, we're really fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah,
So
there's plenty of deceptions there, and mind control techniques about that. It's very intimately connected with it.
absolutely. So I'll jump into this. I gave originally gave this presentation 2 years ago. It was the second one I ever did, and we hear nature versus nurture. This is the debate of what makes up a human being, and it's a great opportunity to talk about the fundamental view of man. Right? Who are we? What are we really doing here? So this slide is basically what historically has been the view. This is not what people are, but the history of humanity is long, it's dark, and for most of it, it's slavery. So this is it. This is what we. You could switch these around, right? It's not necessarily a progression like this, but this is the monkey man, the vision of man as just an animal. You got over here Charles Darwin with the natural selection. This is kind of an innocent one, but really is the cause of much of this confusion, is that it's all randomness and there's no blueprint here. There's no purpose for being here on Earth. It is only a competition. So, but if you have no moral code, if you don't have a really a vision of beginning, middle, and end, what are we really doing here? Then you don't have the morality, and then you take 2 3 steps and you go into eugenics and social Darwinism. Eugenics, basically, if you have just natural selection and you just view humans as animals, then you don't have any inhibitions or any fundamental obstacles to stop you from turning the world basically into a pen, into a farm, into a concentration camp. And throughout history, this is really what has been, right? We haven't had the knowledge and we haven't had a strong sense of self. So you got the eugenics, you got the social Darwinism, and ultimately you got this thing called divine right. And we hear this and we might think, well, who actually believes this today? Nobody really believes anymore that the king, divine right is the concept of a monarch or ruler having basically their authority given to them by God. God put them in a position, God gave him the throne, and you have to obey him because God said so. And we think this is gone, but I would say that it actually isn't. Of course, the nature of government is mystical, except we don't say God anymore because really we are in a much more atheist or a nihilist society. So the government doesn't really get its power from God anymore, but it's still the same concept, except now God has become the common good, this mythical thing called society. It's this collectivism. So divine right is alive and well. It is this idea that a mystical force, something that can't really be clearly defined, you know, these people, one person doesn't have the right to rule others, but a group of them does because A, B, and C, and it's all these logical fallacies. And this, you see, is the shameful history of humanity. There's no logic here. It is just dog eat dog, men as animals fighting in the jungle. And many people think this is what human nature is. And this is why I made this presentation originally.
Yeah, and by the way, it makes it way easier to justify violence and death and tyranny when you think like that. It's very insidious. You
Of
know.
course. Of course, because if it's just an animal, you know, you can get away with it so easily. Uh, if you're seeing this slide now, you're seeing how empty it is. It's empty for a reason because this is the totality of our view. When we think about what human nature is, this is what most people have in their heads. Is it nature or is it nurture? Nurture is the societal messaging, how we were raised by our parents, the things we learned, and the nature is your predetermined genetic programming. your genes, your DNA, really your inherent programming. And this is where the argument has been. And for a long time, people thought that nature was basically what determined, it's like a very left brain scientific view. People thought that genetics determined how a person is, especially the Nazis and the multi-totalitarian governments. They had this kind of thing. And now it has become known, okay, it's basically not that. It's essentially just how you're raised, what you learn. But this is really so incomplete, and this is the whole point of making this is this is going to get filled in, and by the end you're going to see a lot more. But right now this is all we have. This is the deception. Now, nature and nurture just refer to a type of programming, and Mark Passio says this. He inspired me to make this presentation, is that humans are programmable. Anytime you make a presentation about human nature, it's a challenge because Mark says if you say anything other than that, he basically doesn't want to talk to you. So many people have talked about human nature, but essentially, it is this thing that humans are basically who they become through what they experience. So yes, humans are programmable, and it's an interesting word, programmable, because essentially human beings were animals with a highly advanced computer called the mind. And so we do have an animal part, but we actually behave a lot like a computer, which seems, it doesn't sound right. It sounds counterintuitive, but I'll talk about that more as we go on. Nature and nurture, this is just your programming, but that's not all it is, because you get your programming like a computer program, like a piece of software. It's programmed. Okay, then what? You got data, you've got a way the thing works, but then you have the processing. Processing information is important, and it's left out of the debate because this is really where the change happens. This is what all the debates are trying to keep quiet, because either what you pick, nature or nurture, both of those are determinist, actually.
Hmm.
There's no room for change. There's no free will there, because say, okay, you were born this way genetically, you were either determined to be, a bank robber or the president of the United States. That means no change is possible, right? But then you have the other side, where a person is a blank slate, and whatever he is taught, whatever happens to him, what experiences they have, he will turn into anything. The possibilities are infinite. But it's actually not separate from determinism. It is completely determinist, because it's saying is that you are sentenced to become whoever. You are dependent on whatever environment you are placed into, and dependent on whoever rules your environment. It's a false dialectic choice, the nature and nurture thing. And this is what people don't get, because nurture sounds like the right answer. It sounds like a blank slate is freedom. But really, we're still getting, hey, either it's divine right or it's social Darwinism. These are the two options, and they skip over the processing stage. So now we're getting this filled up more. Okay, we're getting a little bit more information, but there's more than this.
Sure.
The analogy I've made is that a way better way to describe nature and nurture is data and format. Now we're talking in computer terms, and as I mentioned, the computer analogy is actually very good for explaining why humans are the way they are. And this is also the seed and the soil. Now, it's true that nurture essentially makes up who you become, as far as all the external and environmental stimuli you receive. Of course, we got parenting, behaviors, traumatic experiences, and memories. This is the data that we get. If we're the computer program, that is all the data, that is all the lines of code that we learned as kids, right? And this is all we see. We see the numbers. But there's this whole aspect called format. A format is the inherent framework which filters and shapes external stimuli. Format, you don't see it, but it's the way. You arrange the information, like this slide right here. The letters that you see on there, this is the data. These are like your experiences. Now, I could have put all of that without spaces in the block of text, and it still would have been the same essential information, the same data, but you wouldn't be able to read it. It wouldn't make any sense because there's no format. And our body, our biology, our physiology, this is the genetic foundation. It's our hereditary traits, our innate tendencies, biological predispositions. All of these things, they don't define who we are, but they shape who we are. And this is like the seed and the soil. You will not grow a plant without the soil to put it into, but you need the seed. Without the seed holds the essential key to what that thing's going to become. You know, there's a lot of the seed in the soil. There's a lot of divine feminine, divine masculine, sacred union type of thing going on here. And this is essentially how it goes. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. But nobody tells us this. If we would have heard this from when we were kids, uh, that definitely changes our view of who we are.
Yeah, and absolutely, I this is there a subject that it's very important, and it gets us back to our origin, and the way that we choose to evolve. If we now we cannot use this word anymore, it's actually in involution, for the matter that all these primal things that we are born with, they're used as weapons against us because they
Yeah.
know the nature of human.
Yes. They know
We're
this.
Yeah. So this is an interesting subject, and I had the chance to go over Mark's work on primal fears, and I think this one is very crucial to understand because it is ingrained into our, uh, if I can use the word nature, in our building as a human being. And I think everyone, or almost everyone, has that in them. The detail there is, if we have that, if everybody is born with that, is how it is transformed, art, how it is transmuted, and what is the quality of the information that is provided to this one human being, or aggregate of being. So we have different conditions, different human beings, different culture, different human beings, because of what Conrad talks about, this programmable aspect to humans. We're magnet for information, and we if we don't have control over that, we're going to assimilate everything, and it's going to be chaos, because this information is taking us out of one's work. It's the introspection, the shadow work. This is why they're doing that. Because if people had the basic fundamental education, there wouldn't be tyranny. There wouldn't be violence as much, because people would understand these things, know about human nature, and how easily we can be controlled with the amount of, and to connect, and I don't want to cut you on your work there, but fear there is one of the tools that it's the most powerful ones, and yeah, it's very efficient, if I you can use the word.
Yeah, actually, I it ties in perfectly, and I love that you mentioned the primal fears, because that's a great example of something that's nature. That's something we don't learn from our parents. We have this. We're born with it. This is an example of the format. We have this fear of the dark, fear of abandonment. It is just part of life, but it's not there. There's a reason it's there, right? These are fundamental questions that as we mature, as we grow up and become independent, we need to resolve these to function in the world as integrated beings. This is something we need to figure out. We have this is, information is just structured data, and primal fears, they're actually a structure that as we get new information, we need to filter it and we need to check some boxes. We need to figure out, this is all about securing the sense of self. We need to figure out how we're going to have enough food. We need to figure out who is our family, who can we depend on, who can we trust. We need this because we need to be secure in our sense of self, because as we develop, then we apply our rational mind to affect change in the world and start exercising our free will. And you can't do that if you haven't resolved these questions, these primal questions, very basic things. And fear
Hmm.
is kind of at the center of it all. And we really need to conquer fear and resolve fear. Now, if you grew up with loving parents and in a stable environment, that essentially helps you resolve it. That's why the job of a parent is so crucial and so hard. I know this, and I'm not a parent, but I got so much respect for it. We talked a little bit about that before, and this is what it is. This is the key thing. We need to create this kind of environment for this fragile human, that as he comes into this world, can really figure it out. Who is he? So he can ask these questions, figure out who he is, why he's here, and it's why the primal things need to be resolved. But the system, this collectivist, tyrannical, occult, globalist system, is always playing on our primal fears to now take us back to that childhood trauma, so that we can never step into ourselves and become a fully grown man who can actually create change in the world. Because if we did that, then we're competition. Then we're a threat to them. You know?
Yeah, this one there. I mean, we have so much example of that into society. It's scary, you know. Um, the abandonment fear is very powerful,
Yeah.
and this is what keeps tyrannical masses together. You know, this need to be validated by the state, by your religion, by and this validation, this need for validation, it's fucking, when you don't control yourself, it's gonna bring fucking chaos into your life. What people think about you should be the last fucking thing you should like think about. you
Yeah.
know Live your life.
Yeah. In that sense, we need to be selfish. You know what I mean? Like, this is the
Yep.
time where it's time to use the word selfish. We need to be secure with ourselves and not need anybody's validation. What happened to helping others by having a strong sense of self? If we're looking to validation for people who themselves are afraid, so where is the strength, the power, the security coming from? Where is it coming from if nobody has it and everybody has a hole in here? Well, the state is going to fill that hole for us, but we have to work as slaves in return.
Yeah, and fearless people or stupid people. If you don't fear anything in life, you're retarded or you're stupid. you know because if you don't fear, like, climbing a mountain, you know and not being afraid of falling, you're stupid. This is just incredible. I'm sure every climbers are afraid and scared shitless, at some point. you know they get confident, and it's the same thing in life. you know it's the
We
same fucking thing.
we feel negative emotions for a reason. The
Yep.
more we feel, the more profoundly we feel emotions, the the better people, the better person we become. I've thought this. I've learned this as I gotten older. Um, if you're repressing fear, that's not fearless. That's not being fearless. That's not anything good or strong. When you feel something negative, you want to take it in completely. But the thing is, you want to experience it, but then you want to let it go. You want to stand up and keep moving forward. If it's the right thing to do, you do it despite the most powerful fear. And the more strong emotions you can deal with and move past, uh, that is really what mastery is all about.
Yeah, and I mean, this there has been pushed to the extreme. Um, the polarities there, you have like fearful people don't go out and they're scared of eating like things, and there's plenty of them. There's people who think that they're lack something, so they keep everything. You have these fearful people, and you have these sociopathic or narcissists. They don't feel anything about you or about what is going to happen from their behaviors. They only care about them. So all the emotion, all their projection, it's fear. It's fear of not being validated or loved or things like that. And then you have the middle. The middle, it's stoicism. And this is one of the things that I'm gonna put some work on. uh, Stoicism is a great basic. If you don't go all the way, this is not my way of doing things. When I upon to become stoic with the shadow working. So it's not perfect, I'm not completely like healed, but this control there, this approach of doing things in life, and consideration and care, because if you take care of yourself, you're going to take care of the people around you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so emotions in stoicism, there's this is the thing. Stoicism is control over your emotion, not getting emotional when something happens. Doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect, you know but in everyday life, there's a lot of people who don't control their emotions, and this is a responsibility to work and achieve that. I mean, not maybe it's not gonna be perfect, they're gonna have flaws, but aligning with yourself with this, when you don't need to do live your emotion, don't. When you need to live them and feel them, then go all the way.
What
you
what
know
I've
you Yeah, go.
what I found always really valuable in Stoicism, the thing I've always taken out from it is that is you don't compromise. You can, if you're feeling emotions, you can't really help it until it's over anyway, right? You can try to get prepared for it next time, but hey, if you feel it, you feel it. But the thing about the archetypal Stoic to me is no matter what you're feeling on the inside, you stand there and you stand your ground and you do what needs to be done.
Yeah,
Like those statues, like you see the videos of Marcus Aurelius. I've really resonated with that because when it's time to stand up, you stand there like a statue, and that doesn't. There's a physical aspect to it, but then to me, it's the spiritual, psychological aspect. That's how we should be for natural law, right?
yeah,
If we know natural principles, we need to be stoic and uncompromising in those natural principles. It
yeah,
doesn't matter how much we love the girl who wants us to do A, B, and C. Is it violating the principles? Yes or no? If it's violating the principles, you can compromise as far as dealing with a person or connecting with them, feeling compassion towards them. But when it comes towards the actions, are they going to violate your rules? That there's no compromise there. It's a look, A is A. And if I am who I say I am, I have to stand on this, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but yeah, I like it. I like it very much. That's beautiful, man. Yeah,
Obviously
it's
not easy, right? But
no,
we
it's
should
not.
that doesn't mean we shouldn't aspire to do that.
Sure,
We've all
sure.
failed
But
at it more than once, but
that there's a thing that I want to mention before we go on. It's if you're interested in that, if you hear stuff, go do your research, go do your homework, do it yourself, do the work and achieve these things. Everyone can do it. Everyone. You care enough, it's in your hands. Yeah.
yep.
So
Well,
the yeah, and the thing is even for me after all these years, it's not perfect. It's never gonna be perfect. I embrace this randomness of life. I see life as a awesome game. You know, it's not like video games that I mean. It's where you're gonna put yourself. And with what you take your decisions. The quality of your decisions it's gonna have an impact on your life. If you take a stand back, you see something, and then, oh my god, what the fuck, and you have doubt. Maybe there's a good reason. Maybe you shouldn't do that or say that. There's a way to self introspect in your relation with the others. So it's not gonna, when you do shadow work, it's not gonna be a guarantee that you're not gonna fall again,
yeah,
but you're gonna have the tools to get back on your feet.
yeah. I actually experienced this many times, where like with actual relapsing with drugs. Um, you relapse and you relapse and you think you got everything figured out, but then boom. But one of those times, it was my last time, and that's the attitude you need to have. As long as make your last failure, make this failure your last failure, and
Yeah,
one of them will be. And this is what happened with me. And when you mentioned games, it's we think a video game. Another way to think of a game is just children playing, and essentially this is what the universe is. You look at us, we're two serious guys talking about serious stuff, but essentially when it comes down to things, the world is a beautiful, magical place, and really, in a free, true world, our interactions would be much more childlike, and there would be a little bit of randomness and some quirkiness and all this, and this is all fine. The world has really gotten so serious and so tragic because we're living in such an unnatural slavery state.
exactly.
And shadow work is of course hard, right? But keep in mind when you're doing this is there's a game to be played here. You just need to dig yourself out of this little hole, and then you can go back to playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And it's a beautiful way to say it. I wouldn't did it better than you did. It's a beautiful metaphor analogy for getting get it getting back to yourself.
Yep.
This individuation. um and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's hard. Sometimes you get like punch in the guts, very hard. It fucking hurts. But after that, this quiet moment of realization, and I talk from my experience on that. This connection that I severed during my life, I got it back. And life for me is a beautiful thing. There can be accidents, then can be violence, and then very, very harmful things happen to you in your life or not. But I think there's something to understand from this pain. Humans are usually, they understand better by pain, you know, like burning yourself on the fire. You do it one time, you're doing two times, and the third time you're not doing it. You have fear, you're scared of the flames, and life is just like that. The way to transcend it, it's to observe.
Yeah.
You observe the
Unfortunately,
others. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, we seem to learn better through the negative. We learn from pain. This
Hmm.
seems to be a negative thing, but there's another way to look at it, that it's actually proof that the universe is a place of that is trending towards good. It's actually a magical place, because the reason you learn so well from pain is because the natural state of man is not to be suffering. It's not pain. uh, when you get sick for a little bit. You're supposed to get healthy. We're supposed to live the vast majority of our life in happiness, in fulfilling relationships, doing work that we like to do. This is the way our endorphins and neurotransmitters work. When we're doing something we like, we feel like time is flying by, because we're supposed to spend most of our time doing this. Uh, let's not forget the way the world is now, that all this suffering, and even doing the great work, this is like a backbreaking type of thing to do. But this is not the natural state. This is temporary. And this is kind of the stoic thing as well. All things shall pass.
Yeah. I mean, we have to be as caring, but as focus. And I mean, there's a delicate balance between these two, and it's very hard to maintain it by moment. There's some people will have cycles and patterns in their life, and it's very hard to break, and it's very hard to slow down and stop it.
Yeah, because
And it yeah,
that's the information. That's this slide right here, right? These are our patterns, and they become locked in.
this is an incredible discovery. The self knowledge should be taught to children in at younger age. And so that when the children become adults, they don't need to get through all these bad mistakes and things like that, and making bad decisions about themselves, and showing them that we can achieve better by knowing better. It's simple as that. Because I think there's so much noise, so much information now, everywhere. It's very hard to get through the lies and deceptions of this world that we build for ourselves. And the thing is it even for me, even for the people like us who are doing the great work, um there are some traps that we can cut on. Some people will go straight to religions. Some will go through a dark occultism. You know, and we have to be very honest and humble about this work, because this knowledge is a responsibility. It's not only taking in yourself and understand it. It's doing it before with the good kind of care, because we can like totally take this knowledge and keep it for ourselves and use it against people, because it's very powerful. But we choose to do it for the people where we actually show them a door and give them a key. Just take the key and go through this door, and the veil of deception will fall. And it's gonna hurt bad, because we all our lives here in the West, we're built upon these lies. And this is where we have to be very humble about the work we're doing. And and it's very hard to get through their shells, the people's shells, there's insecurities and angst and anger and confusion and ignorance, things like that makes it very hard to get through it. The only thing that would change that, it's that we had a massive mass critical mass. We achieved this critical mass so we can make real change.
Yeah. Uh,
That's it.
and change is the key here, and I'll go on with the
Yep.
with the presentation here, because this is actually the next part of it, right? You the change aspect, the shadow work aspect, and the best way that this is kind of a thing that I came up with, the new way of seeing it, and this is the model of human nature that is really incorporates the change aspect. You know, the proton, the neutron, and the electron, the three parts of the atom, and this is the trivium, this is the trinity, uh, and all of this. It proves to be correct. Uh, your proton here, your nature and nurture is in the middle, right? This is what we think of who we are, and and really without change, that's who we stay. Your proton, it determines the identity of the atom. Meaning, if you have one proton, you have a hydrogen atom. If you have uh, something with eight protons, you got oxygen, and that's it. It's never going to change. That is the identity. This is what we are born with. This is what not born with, this is what we are raised with, and what we take from our environment, right? But then you also have the nature, which is the neutron. You see, it's actually the letters are similar. It's neutron, and nature. It's neutral. That's what nature is. It's our biology that gives the nucleus actual structure and stability, and that makes up your nucleus. And that is most of who we are, but that's not all who we are, because it doesn't incorporate the change aspect, that we can actually change who we are, right? The nature and nurture, your proton and neutron, this is the information, and this is the deterministic component of the atom. And we think that's all we are. And that's why shadow work is so hard. And that's why when that veil comes off, it seems, it's like the tower card on the tarot. We seem to just be falling from the tower, and like our whole world is falling apart, because all we've known is this little nucleus, and we've thought that this is all we
Mhm.
are. And when we get the information now from outside that says this is wrong, well, we have nothing else, because we thought we were this. And this is where the electron comes in, and this is the change aspect, and this is really free will. Free will is the magic key. Free will is the answer to this whole presentation. It's not nature versus nurture. It's nature, nurture, and free will. This is your change aspect, and it is forceful. Will it is, you have to want to change. You have to care to change, uh, and it's so interesting that the electron, is negative, and that the proton is positive. So when you take this allegory and really think it through, it's countering the charge of the proton, or the proton and the neutron, because they cancel each other's charge, and that's what makes a stable atom. So the things we have learned, the things we have experienced, your parenting, your environment, your schooling, and that ends up being your trauma, your problems, your false beliefs, right? This becomes uh, our nurture, our programming. Free will is what counteracts that. This is like the mirror. This is like looking in that shadow work proverbial mirror, and that's putting the minus to all that. You have to look at yourself, and look at this nucleus, what you have in your core, and you have to ask yourself, if this is who you want to be, is this consistent with the truth, is this consistent with reality? And free will is this magical thing, like the electron. It orbits on the outside. They did the double slit experiment to find the electrons. It moves like a wave, then it moves like a particle. It's a thing you can't really nail down, because that's the physical um, representation, manifestation of the free will element. That's how it behaves. And without the electron, you don't have atoms. You have only ions. You have electricity, but you have no matter. Free will is the thing that makes us. That's how we actually make things matter. It is how we express ourselves in the world to survive in this world. And that takes it back to the primal fears and all this stuff. It's the inherent primordial question of, you come into this world naked and defenseless. How do you manage? How do you manage and not turn into an animal, but turn into a true heroic being, or a being that can experience love, that can receive love and give it to others.
Hmm.
And this is the atomic model for that. We're an atom. The Earth is a little atom of the solar system, which is an atom. You know what I mean? And then we're an individual, an atom. Like atoms are supposed to be individual. They're not supposed to be divided, like we do with nuclear fission. Uh, and this is it. You could break it down all the way to the atom. And this is also the trivium, the trivium stage. Grammar is your information. Grammar is the data we get, specifically the nurture aspect. Then you have the processing stage. Um, you could say that's the nature aspect, but really that's the change aspect. This is like the mirror. This is like seeing. It's not that it's the nature aspect. It's seeing, is this consistent with the outside world? Is it rational? And then you have the rhetoric stage, which is free will, and free will is rhetorical. It is creating change, and really going back to that nucleus, to that source of childhood trauma, and changing it, healing ourselves, transmuting it. And
Yeah,
then this is how we can create the next atom, the next generation. It's a self-healing organism that we live in.
yeah, and I would add that care and love is the fuel for all of that.
It is. Yeah, it's all love. And the absence of love is fear. And we keep going back to this fear thing. Fear is the
Yeah,
zero. Fear is this kind of thing that is the force of involution.
yeah,
Well, this is the opposite of that. This is growth. This is how we actually build things. It's our little blueprint for the game. You can't play a game without the rules. If you're, uh, you know, you could play a game by the feel of it, but we want to play a game that we can teach to our kids so they could play it too. So we need to have a rule set, and this is natural law, and this is the knowledge of self. That's all this is.
yeah. Natural law as such is incredible. I suggest everyone who don't know about them, the hermetic principles or natural law. People need to know that. You know, they're it's a there's a book, and it's very cheap. You can go on the Amazon or any places and find it. You know, the Kybalion. You buy the book, you read it multiple times, or you listen into it as an audiobook like I did, and you understand. And you put your time and attentions to that. And then when you understand these things, then they're gonna become principles. And this is what we lack in society now is principles.
Yep.
We have a lot of laws that cause chaos and violence and things like that, but it's not our true nature. It's never been that. We're doing it to ourselves, sure, because of the lack of care, the lack of love, the lack of empathy towards our brothers and sisters for many reasons, religions, politics, or pandemics, or whatever you can think, music or philosophy and things like that. We have plenty of divisions, but when it comes to our true nature is we are social beings. We need each other's to grow, and this is one of the key there. When it comes to shadow working, shadow working, it's not, you're not gonna be closed on in your room and not talking to anyone. You will have the need to talk with people and get in touch with these truth, because I mean, we can talk all night about the walls of the prison, you know and never get onto solutions, but essentially there's not much solution that can be used, for healing. I mean, I try to say it to people. I try to tell them, you know but people are scared to do that, scared to confront the real world, the truth about themselves and the truth about the world they're living in. We're talking about a microcosm. When you talk about your friends, family, relative, and this is when you start to understand that, you can see it. You know, all the divisions, all the chicanery, all the little wars between people. Because people are confused. Because inside it's chaos. There's no one there who has control. It's an external tool that controlling them. And this is where free will, and I absolutely agree with you, free will is the key there. Free will it's not an illusion, it's something everybody have. Everybody has the choice. There's how much time you heard that, Conrad? Oh, I had no choice. you
Yeah,
know
I couldn't help it. That those are the words of the person that doesn't know themselves. They all say, "I couldn't help it. He told me to do it." You know?
yeah. And this connection that you're talking about, and this relation we have with nature and nature's nature, this vibrational universe that we're living in. And there's a lot of talking and creeds and cults, that they're trying to make people solipsists. There's so much of them now, it's scary. So you have people who think they're smart, and they're saying to you, reality doesn't exist, doesn't matter. And it makes me very angry when
Yeah,
people tell me that.
and
you know I mean, what
the
the fuck?
the solipsist, it's just what you said. You were saying earlier about, hey, this shadow work, you don't just do it in a vacuum. It's about talking to people, and that's exactly right. I'm a rugged individualist. I talk about the self. I talk about being an individualist. Forget the collective. You don't care. You don't need other people to validate you. But let's be very clear. Like, this absolutely is about other people. It's about, see, rights only make sense in a social context, because who's going to violate your rights? It will be another person. And all of this, natural law, it's all about dealing with other people. There is a, very fundamental interconnectedness, not interdependence, because that's a different thing, but it's an interconnectedness. And this is really the framework. This is the way all these atoms can interact with each other and communicate with each other. It has to be through a shared code. And this is what natural law is. There's an objective set of rules here, so we can do business together. And I say do business, but it's really, so we can love each other, so we can respect each other, so we can exchange ideas, right? Create together. But now you've got these solipsists, or these people that they're living in this world where they decide reality. And this, This is going to be, if we let that go, this is going to be the thing that gets rid of free will, because all hand in hand with that, there is no objective reality. Comes comes along the people who say, you know, it's all a hologram, and it's all, or, you know, the universe is all just an accident, or it's all a computer program, and therefore we have no free will. These are our new attackers, and we don't see them because they're not on the news. We see, you know, war in Israel, we see climate change. We don't see these ideological enemies, these beasts that are coming for us. It's here actually. And you mentioned it exactly. These solipsists and these people who are totally nihilistic, totally apathetic.
Yeah, and they're empty inside too.
Yeah.
The narcissist or the spiritual narcissist, they're all the same. They're all empty shells. They're a spectrum of something, they're shadows. And that's sad for them because they will live in deny all their life, you know makes it even harder for them, or for the people who are around them, the people who love them,
Yeah.
this denial of reality, or and responsibility.
Yeah. And that's a state of suffering. They're suffering and they don't even know they are. Um,
Yeah,
but if we who know, the good people, the people who are aware, if we listen to their orders and we adopt their morality and their way of life, we will suffer worse, because we can actually see the joy in the world and the thing that the world could be, whereas they don't even see it. Yes, they live in a dark, depressing world, but it's all they know. And you know, nature has a way that they will live out their life, and they will learn one way or another. They're going to go through this lesson again and again. The real tragedy is when we, who are supposed to be more advanced, you who are supposed to be more above this, who are supposed to be in the rhetoric stage exercising your free will, if you let them dictate the terms, this is the real tragedy, and this is the real loss. And a lot of people are, they're listening to them, where really pity is the only thing that should really be directed towards them, not any sort of attention or respect at all.
it's like spiritual infancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very I have a mixed feelings about these people. I don't really respect that as such. This is not a civilized way to think and to interpret reality. It's like you're scared little children. You don't want to take its responsibility. You know, you're scared of getting your hand dirty. You know,
Yeah.
and it's very prominent now. There's a lot of them outside. They don't care. They don't know they're solipsists. But
Yeah.
they are.
Right.
Oh, I don't care what people think, and the way I'm wasting my life. You know,
Yeah.
hurting people around you and being careless. You know about these things, and I think technology as two sides.
Right.
We can totally do like tonight and do a podcast live, and we're like thousands of kilometers from each other's, and can still do it live. So there's good things about that, but there's a slowing down, a I I I I don't like to use this word, but people are retarded
Yeah.
in the sense
Retardation.
of
Yeah.
slow down. You know, they're when they're all grown up, it's too late. They're used up. Their body is old. And now they're getting it. Like fucking in their 60s or 70s. Well, essentially, if people would fucking understand it at younger age, life would be so much easier.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be fucking people with masks on their faces, and taking product into their bloodstreams for no reasons, just because of fear and propaganda. There wouldn't be fucking poor people. There wouldn't be fucking scared children and things like that. We And that's one of the things there. I don't want to rant, but you know, poor
It actually
people.
ties in, but
Yeah,
you finish your thought, please.
yeah. Poor people exist and poverty exists because we consent to it. Okay, it's just because people tolerate it. That's pretty much it. There's plenty of food for everyone. You know, it's not a civilization doesn't act like that.
Yeah, and droughts, collapses, famines, these are actually functions of government. It's because all the places that are starving, they have enough land and they have the people and the technology to plant their own food and be self-sustaining. The reason they're not planting food over in Venezuela and they have all the migrants coming here is because they have a socialist government there that put the military in charge of guarding all the food, and they're going to export all of it or do something with it. That is the reason we have poor people here. It's not the mythical laissez-faire capitalism that made them poor, or even the uh, selfish businessmen. Uh, it is those selfish exploiting businessmen, but
Sure.
only under government is the only way we get this kind of imbalance.
Yeah.
We're in the middle, and that's what we're between two systems. We're between freedom and slavery, which is the worst place to be, because if we were in outright slavery, then we'd see it and we'd fight back. But we're in between two things. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to you mentioned technology and how it's a double-edged sword. I
Hmm.
totally agree with this. I actually have this way to see technology. Because technology can process information so fast, the camera, the microphone, the internet, it has a very high vibration. And the reason people have slowed down, and they do, these kids that are looking at the screen scrolling through TikTok, they've slowed down. They can't learn as fast. They're slower. It is retardation. It's
Hmm.
because you need a very high vibration to match the resonance there. And that means you need a strong sense of self. So that's why some people can deal with technology and they can be producers like us. But this took me a long time. I used to be the guy who played video games for 6 hours and not have any energy. So you need to raise your vibration so that you could be a producer with technology. But most of us were consumers, and we cannot match that high frequency of information. And this is the reason that technology is making us dumb. um, this is my free will slide over here, but we already talked about this. I wanted to talk about my last slide, and this is it. And I had the electromagnetic spectrum in here, and it's a very similar concept. It's this idea of your speed of vibration, and technology over here is vibrating at that high speed, which is where I put free will. uh, it, it is a thing that vibrates fast, whereas your nature and nurture are over here on the left side, and this is kind of your slower,
I
your
don't want to interrupt you, but I cannot see it for
oh,
some reason.
you
It
don't
didn't
have this.
switch.
Okay,
No problem. I'm
we can go
gonna
to the
look at
previous.
that.
How about now?
Nope.
That is interesting. Well, I'll just explain it. That's all right. I'm
Sure.
I'm not sure why it wouldn't be working. Perhaps it's a thing about my background. You see this slide, the free will one?
No, I think it didn't work.
Ah, understood. So I may not be sharing anymore.
Oh,
Or
now it's working. Yeah.
okay. How about now? It
Yeah,
won't be full
that's
screen.
perfect. Yes.
Okay, so um, this is the electromagnetic spectrum on the right side. I was just talking about technology and how it vibrates fast. But to this point now, let's forget the technology. it's just an electromagnetic spectrum of vibration, and nature and nurture is over there on the left side, right? And we're kept out of this high vibration state, and this is where free will is. And this is why the electron is so hard to pinpoint, because it has very little physical qualities. It is a very fast moving, high vibrating thing. uh, and this is what free will has the quality of. It's a thing that's barely in physical reality. It's a very powerful, um, fast moving, fast vibrating, high vibrational frequency thing. Now, you know, people have always thought that the idea is to go from the root chakra to the crown chakra. Everybody says this is where enlightenment is, and we want to get to the high frequency, and we want to get to this high vibrational state. And I thought about this with technology, is that, the transhumanists, this is what they want too. They want this high state, not of high frequency spiritual vibration, but high levels of activity and information and all this. But it's to the point where it's divorced from human beings. It's this kind of like God, collective brain, God machine, AI system that has all the will, has all the information. And the whole point of me putting this slide in this way is because the goal of what we're supposed to do here, the object, the meaning of life, is not to go into this spirit realm, into this enlightenment. It is actually to bring it towards the middle, towards that heart chakra. And it's actually about using the free will to combine our programming, the nurture aspect, uh, our traumas, resolving them, and bringing them towards the middle, the green, the balance, and creating change in the physical world. Is about bringing things into reality here in this world, not like the solipsists being in some sort of state of who knows where they are, they're up in the clouds, or the nihilists, the people with apathy who say nothing matters, I'm just an animal. These are both the states of extremes, and I think people are still in the state that they want to get away from reality and they want to be in a state of bliss. Where we need to be is where that light color spectrum is. It's combining the two vibrations, and it's really all about bringing it back to nature. It's called natural law for a reason. This is where we need to take it back to, and
Yeah, and
and
the color green
yeah,
is very present.
it,
But
the whole world is green. It's
yeah,
it's trying to tell us something.
yeah. Yeah, sure. There's this thing that I said to people, a lot of people. It's not a coincidence that green is the color of nature. It's the heart color. This is the nurturing aspect and the chaos aspect. And this is a beautiful subject. I like it very much because it coincides with shadow working and psychology and philosophy. Philosophy is very important too, and it's a very open mind minded approach to thing. And the thing is, this is what we have. This is the problem resides in the mind, essentially, because there's no separation between mind and heart. And most people, it's happening there. The cut is there in the throat chakra, because truth is not told. This is a disconnection with yourself and the people around you, and your relationship with the truth. And many people mix up things together: perception and reality. This is the one aspect that I this is one of the slides that I used a lot from Mark's work. the perceptions versus reality, and I openly have disdain for new age.
Hmm.
Why? Because they're inverting all these things. They're taking something sacred, say something beautiful, and they're perverting it, and they're trying to put you in this trance of ignorance of your responsibility in this world, and how it's intimately connected with the how healthy your mind is. Because there's we talk about addiction and depression and all these things that coming back, and it's getting bigger, and they're losing control, and it's only a response to this imbalance and this disconnection with nature. And Corey Andrulat is talking about that a lot, you know
Yeah.
because it's the crucial part. We don't have to believe anything. We don't have to go through all the books and believe everything that's written there. Nature is there to show you. Life is a book. Are you are you focused enough? Do you care enough to see the problem before they're happening? Because this is where we're going. We're going out of the effect, and we're going into the cause. Before taking a decision, as individual, as a group, as a community, as a society, there must be talking, there must be debates, there must be discussion of opinions, because this is how we grow up.
That's how we grow, and that's how we bring the heart and the mind back together. I'm so glad you brought it up because I forgot to mention this. Uh, we have this confusion about the heart and the mind because
Hmm.
we think of it as thoughts and emotions. Um, of course, thoughts, emotions,
Sure.
and then your actions. But when when we hear this, we think our thoughts and emotions can be very fleeting. They can be very insignificant. This is not our true, real state. Thoughts and emotions could be totally corrupted. Uh, the whole point of shadow work is to turn thoughts and emotions into passion and principles.
Yeah.
Our thoughts should we should be thinking about principles, and our emotions. There are a lot of things that are emotions we have no business really dwelling in that. We're supposed to process them and make sure we're feeling the care and the passion. And it's so interesting that it would be cut right here at the throat chakra. I never saw it, I never thought of it that way. But what is the throat chakra all about? It's your voice, it's your expression.
Yep.
If you're lacking the voice, you will not bring the heart and the mind together.
Yep.
And then there is no growth. It's collapse.
Yep. It's cut. And I mean, I have the chance to have a different experience, um, with humans, and I how I see humans is I see them as brothers and sisters, but um, we're living in a very dysfunctional family, so we don't have to love each other. We don't have to like believe in all the same thing, or having the same opinions. We have to reconcile with ourselves, and this is the individuation, this is the shadow work, this is where you decide that you're not what they're telling you. You're not the product of society, or you're the product of your parents. Sure, they have influence in your life, but you're not that.
Yeah. I want to bring up one more thing. We talked
Sure.
about what society or people around us, could be your parents, are telling you all these things that you're not good enough. That the things you're talking about are not real, that you're wasting your time, go get a job, or why are you spending your time doing this? That's one side of it. We know about that. For me, shadow work, the thing it has become in recent years, and that I think we should always also keep in mind. You might have people around you that are telling you you're doing a great job, or that you're doing just fine, or that you're all right. It's also, for me, an expression of self-love and self-respect, that you
Hmm.
yourself are not going to listen to them, and you're going to say, no, that's not good enough. I don't care if everybody thinks I'm doing a great job. If you think you can do more, do more. This is what's going to make you happy. So it's both sides. I agree that uh, I don't know what your take actually is on this, but I think most of people, the problem is kids are told they can never, that you're not good enough. But also, once you are on this journey, you might get to a point where you need to be your harshest critic for real, and you need to say, no, you're not doing good enough, even if everybody else is telling you you're doing a great job.
Yeah, this is life, dude. This is actually life. And I want to say to people that there's a lot of things that I talked throughout the guest, and there's a lot of uh, some people will say, you're pointing out the bad things, and showing, I'm talking about shadow work and the occult and things like that, but essentially it's common sense.
Yeah.
I told in one of my videos in French, take natural law and call it common sense. And we lack common sense. This cohesion, you know between people, and between our own uh our own individuation, our own life that we live, because this is a world that you have there. Your brain is fucking incredible. The possibilities are infinite, and your potential is infinite. And this, I want to bring more of a positive aspect to it without renting. I struggle to not rent a lot of time,
Hmm.
but I want people to listen to that. You're fucking beautiful, and what you are is not what people think of you. You're better. Whatever happens, don't let anyone dim this light that you have inside of you. We are beautiful, we are creative, we are nurturing, we are builders, we are inventors, but we're parents, we're brothers, we're family. And this is where we have to concentrate. Sure, it can be, talking about shadow work can be like selfish, and can, sound selfish, but everybody's selfish, because you have that inside, that's instinct. This is survival. This is making your way into your life, between the things that go on your way. These people we're gonna meet, maybe you met them already. These people will try to keep you from going forward. This is fucking important that people fucking understand that, you know There's no amount of information that gonna save you from your ignorance, because ignorance comes from will. It's the lack of will. It's a lack of care. It's a lack of love. You're gonna blame the others. You're gonna point your fingers and, oh, it's them fault. It's my parents. It's my uncle. But essentially, you're fucking lying to yourself. You want to know who's the real perpetrator is? Go in the fucking bathroom and look yourself in the mirror. You know, you feel miserable. Oh my god, my life is boring. It's because you want it to be boring. You know, that's it. You're tired. You're tired of being tired, but then do something. You're tired to be depressed, then fucking do something with your life. Stop being careless about yourself. Listen to your heart, listen to your mind. There, depression and problem like that, it's a cry for help.
Y- Uh,
Depression is actually a call for help.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
it's
no problem.
important
Go on.
because I a few years back I was in this depression. I was diagnosed with severe depression. It's not the point what I was diagnosed with. I can tell you for myself, I was as deep as you can get. I was right there on the edge, and I came out of it for a long time. It took a long time, but my message is, I was right there on the brink. Uh, I thought I was done with. You have to want to live, and you might not know it at the time, but there will come a day, if you ask for it, if you seek it, if you just go and just try it, even if you make take a wrong step, even if you do something wrong, try it. You have to have the will to live, and you do not even know how beautiful and rewarding life can be, because
Hmm.
I know now how much I wanted to live, and I'm getting every moment's worth, since
Yeah,
from now, today moving forward.
yeah, and whatever will people, and I each time that I'm doing a podcast, don't fucking believe us. Just go there, take the information. You don't know about shadow working. There's Caroline Riley page about the shadow working. She's doing everything shadow work. It's an incredible page, an incredible woman, really interesting. There's natural law. There's like Mark Passios. Maybe you don't like Mark Passios. There's plenty of other people who's talking about this on their own great work. All on their own way. There's plenty of stuff you can do, and the first thing, it's to care. How much do you care? This is where it starts. And this aspect, when people understand that care is the thing that keeps every all of that together. When you have children, you just not care anymore about yourself or your wife or your companion. You bring something, and then it has to be true. It has to be right. And there's a way to do it. And the first thing that you have to do is doing right to yourself. And this is the selfish part. I keep bringing back, it's you cannot give something you don't have. That's simple as that. It's common sense. It's common sense. You know, you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love someone else. You're not respecting yourself, you cannot respect someone else. So if you do that and you live in cognitive dissonance, then you're lying to yourself and then you're lying to the other people around you. This is how simple it is to explain what's wrong, right and wrong about things. Because the greatest form of violence is the violence you do unto yourself. It's the worst thing that you can do. It's doing violence to yourself. Because after that, if you're doing violence to yourself, you're not gonna hesitate 1 minute to do it to another one, and another one, and another one. Maybe it's not gonna be physically, it's gonna be emotionally, it's gonna be psychologically, you know, fucking blackmailing people and gaslighting them into craziness and madness. You know how much people you stumble upon you're using these techniques. Gaslighting. My own parents did that. Maybe they didn't know, but they did still that. And it's very, very insidious. There's so much violence. It's not just one thing. And we can bring back what Marpasio says is theft. It's simple as that. It's you can all things that take the wrong thing that you can do and put it in one thing. Theft. You're stealing it from yourself, stealing it from for the other people. And it's basic fundamental things. After that, there's a world of possibility of knowledge or passion or creations or things like that you can do. There's many examples outside. People are expressing themselves through art. They're creating to express themselves. Some music. There's you're not that's not an obligation to put your nose in the book. You can create something else and do the great work through your work. I'm thinking about Dorian Green. She made beautiful dances for the cause, and it's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to express it through image and music and things like that. So there's plenty of options for everyone. What you want to read books, you want to create a painting, you want to carve something, you can play music. There's an infinite way of doing it. But what we have to do is start. You can make all these projects, all these goals, but if you don't do it, then you're in cognitive dissonance. You say you want something, but you're not putting the action, you're not putting the care in doing it. And I'm gonna repeat myself, it's common sense. It's simple as that. It's common sense.
And when you want something and you say you want it and you don't do it, it's actually just like theft, because the premise behind it is you're expecting to get something that you did not earn or are not willing to put the effort in to actually make it happen. It is the same premise that makes theft happen, and this is the basic premise that makes us do violence to each other. We want to see something that we're not willing to actually do and earn, which means we're not willing to be true. And that's why, yeah, to make a painting, to create, that this is this is really the act of love. You're giving something of yourself, and you need to make something, like you said, with children. What you need to put forward has to be true. And when we do that, this is really what it's all about. This is everything that's the opposite of violence is based in honesty, and all violence is based in really dissonance, disorder, chaos.
Yep.
It's expecting something that you're not willing to actually do the right way.
Yeah, ignorance is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Ignorance is the source of where violence came from. That and fear. But we talked about that earlier,
Yeah.
fear. What fear leads to? Ignorance, you know. And I'm telling to people, the thing that makes your life suffer is because you're ignorant. You're ignorant of your own truth or what you need or what you're what maybe the people around you, you know. This is a we can talk about that all night. I mean, I can, expand on that, ad infinitum, but I mean, we have life outside, and I would like to say thank you, Conrad, to partake in the LiberCast, and I appreciate every minute of it. It was awesome, man. It was awesome.
It was awesome. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for bringing me on. This was my first live presentation, so look at that. It's exclusive for the LiberCast. So yeah,
Yeah,
so happy to
and
be here.
the address are there.
Yeah,
If we want to go,
truthandlaw.com is the website.
yeah.
Freedomcurrent.com is going away soon.
Oh,
This is another exclusive. Thisweekintyranny.com. I'm working on it. That's in the background. But yeah, truthandlaw.com
yeah,
is where you can find me.
yeah, and I encourage everyone to start doing something. I want I and I'm gonna repeat that, in the future. You want to get involved, you feel, it's wrong, something is wrong, do something about it. Don't let it don't let it be. Do something about it. It can happen to anyone, you know. If something is if someone tries to do wrong to you, you have the right to say no. You have the right to use force. It's not a an all pink thing there. You're gonna
Mm.
have to work. You're gonna have to sweat. You're gonna have to fucking have headaches from all these incredible informations. We have to do it. The people who are listening now or after and later, it's your fucking responsibility. You, because me and Conrad, we're already doing it. We're already putting our hands to work, but we need more of you, of Conrad. We want more of Will Kellers. We want more of Brendan Spencer. We want more of all these incredible Mark Passios and and all these great people who are working their ass out to put this information up. So go encourage them. Go on the One Great Work Network and start from there. If you want to start, I would suggest that people go on the one on earth is happening.com and start from the podcast number one. This is what I would suggest to people. Or listening to the Natural Law Seminar from Mark Passio. This is a great introduction to the matter, to this information. It's a must. It's not like you can go out and ignore it and you're gonna pay the price. It's simple as that. This information is critical. Everybody must know that. Everybody, your cousin, your brother, your family, everybody. So get involved right now. Just don't wait. Get involved right now. If you want help, the podcast is on Facebook, it's on YouTube. Everybody can contact me. I can help people with that. You need like names of books or something like that. I can refer you to other people who are doing the work, so we can all partake into this network of freedom oriented people. We don't care about who you're voting with. We want you in for freedom, for morality and natural law. This is where we need you. We need millions of people to do the work. Millions. Start now. There's plenty of tools that you can use. You can contact me. You can contact Conrad. There's people all around are doing the work. So get your ass out and fucking work. Start it. I was about to fucking rant once again. Oh my god. Maybe maybe I'm overdue for a rant. So thank you again, Conrad, for sharing your precious time with us tonight. I appreciate it, and I would like to have you once more one day if you like. And I like your work very much, and I suggest everyone that the address is there. Go encourage him. Are you on Facebook? Facebook,
Yeah, yeah.
YouTube?
Conrad Rogoz on Facebook. I'm
Okay.
everywhere. Odyssey,
YouTube
BitChute.
too
So
for your videos, your presentations, and I know you covered other stuff too. So go encourage them, and people, thank you for tuning in into the LiberCast once again. I appreciate every one of you and gratitude to you all, and have a good night, people.
yep.
Bye.
Love you all.